All right, testing. Ha, testing. All right, so you guys gotta let me know. Just let me know if I'm being heard clearly. Everything's fine on my end. Um, just let me know if the audio is good. Okay, so welcome to the New York session live streams, our new live streams. Now, we're no longer doing the London session live streams at this current moment in time. I think my camera is kind of messed up. So hopefully that's a lot better. That should be better. All right, guys. So taking a quick look because we had some news coming out, some USD news. Let me just refresh this page. Some USD news and some CAD news coming out. All right, so we had CPI numbers for the Canadian economy and inflation. So inflation went up to 4%, right, by 0.2%. And we also had the CPI trimmed mean, right, coming out at 3.9, so 0.4% increase. All right, let's take a look at the chart and see what sort of reaction this gained. All right, so let's take a look at the CAD stuff. Oh, CAD pushed pretty nicely, right? So this was EuroCAD. EuroCAD actually had an idea or a bias that the CAD would run from this area here all the way down. And you can see this is a very large move to the downside overall in the span of just a couple of days, right? So not even that long. All right, so the Friday and it continued 2 days in the weekend. And today, so 4 days in total. Well, 5 days in total. Yeah, but the CAD came down pretty strong to the downside here. Let's take a look at some of the other CAD cross pairs. AD CAD, not much in terms of movement. All right, from daily and the hourly perspective, this is a key level of support that price is kind of running into right now. So we are seeing some sort of rejections from this area here. All right, and price has been pretty choppy here on AD CAD, so not really up here that I have been looking at currently. That because of that choppiness, trying to stay within some good market conditions, and this is not one of those market conditions you really want to be involved in. I'm just cycling through some of the stuff that we're seeing here. AD JPY, we saw the yen give off some gains and see price actually push to the upside here. Now this is pretty interesting, right? For the yen, as it has been kind of weakish for the week thus far, we are running into some key levels here, such as on here on AD JPY, where we have some major rejections, right? So price pretty much paid respect to this level here, this general zone, and rejected from that area. Now, are we going to see rejection from here again? Or are we going to see price continue to the upside? That is something that's pretty interesting. I think that we should, possibly pay attention to. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything in particular for this. Maybe if we get a pullback below this zone here, we might be able to get price coming back down into the initial beginning of this move. So somewhere right here. And this would be like a good trade setup for me, actually. So if we have a rejection, price pull below the area, right? We see another candle form below this zone. I think we could see a continuation back down into this level. Yeah, this seems like a okay setup for me. Alright, so if you're now joining, guys, feel free to leave a like on the stream as well. And we're gonna be doing this more consistently, right? So I do have a plan in terms of when to come on and do the stream itself. Won't stay too long, maybe half an hour for the least. Or for the most, depending on what we have going on with the markets right now. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. The DXY. So I have a trade that I do have set up waiting to just, kind of just hit me in on your USD. Actually looking at getting right at this level here. So this was a sell stop initially. And I'm looking for price to come back down in favor of the dollar. Now, the reason why overall dollar bullishness is still within the market, but we saw that price kind of dip below the supportive level. Now, with the dollar, once you see like some sort of like strangeness or whatever the case, how the DXY is moving really correlates with the dollar strength, and it's pretty heavy. So seeing how price broke the downside here, lower against this supportive level here, we saw the dollar taking a huge major turn, really seeing dollar bearishness being exaggerated, so to speak, right? However, though, I do think that we can see the dollar recover from this initial fall here below the supportive level. So what I'm looking at currently, right, is this area of interest here for me. And let me just change the color here. Notable, right? Right, so this is an area of interest. So I want to see price actually maintain as a supportive level and see some sort of, support being formed here, and maybe price could bounce away from this area here back to the upside. Now, dollar bearishness, really not much to say about the dollar overall. The US economy has been performing a lot better. We do have some other key implications to really think and consider about when it comes to the US. However, for right now, I would say for most of the key fundamental aspects that we will pay attention to, unemployment, interest rates, as well as looking at inflation rate and stuff like that, really has been the dollar and the US economy has been one of the better performers, right, out of all the other economies. We do still have some key stuff that we need to pay attention to coming up tomorrow. I believe we have CPI and FOMC projections. Right, so we have the FOMC economic projections, Fed interest rates is what we need to pay attention to. So are they going to keep interest rates the same, or are they going to raise interest rates? I think they should keep it as the same right now. There's no real reason to increase interest rates, but this here wouldn't be the sort of the main mover for the dollar, right? As you can see, we have the FOMC economic projections and interest rate projections and such. All right, and we also have Fed conference, so a lot of news coming up tomorrow, right? But the economic projections, right, and the interest rate projections, what I think markets will be paying more attention to, because that means, okay, moving forward, what could we expect from the Fed, right? And they do have these projections using the tools or whatever they do have in place, right? And it gives us like a general idea as to what we could see in the future, right? Are we going to see more Fed hiking? Are we going to just see a pause right now on the interest rate hike and maybe a dwindle in the interest rates, right? So interest rates being moved back down because inflation is at a good spot right now. They still need to get inflation between that 2 to 3% target, where that sweet spot for most economies. So that is the main thing, and I think that is projected by 2024 in June, July, somewhere there, right? That is a projection, so for them to obtain that right now. So this year, I do think would play a lot more, right, on the decision as to what sort of dollar movement we do get, rather than the interest rate decision here itself, right? We're looking at the future, and markets are forward thinking, so that is something you should take into consideration. All right, let me just pop this chart out. All right, so you can see price actually kind of flipping right here on the DXY. And you can see the correlation in that here, Euro USD pushing down right now. But the moves themselves are pretty much overly exaggerated when it comes to the US dollar. So it really is a tricky one to gauge when it comes to USD trading, right? Because whatever the DXY does here is exaggerated across all pairs, right? So if this pulls back here and it pulls down, then obviously something like Euro USD will just shoot up, right? And it's something that you'll see in time, like as you trade, the more you trade and stuff like that. It's just something that you start to notice these little things that price does, rather than it being something that's let's say something that you could gauge, right? It's something that you just pick up, right? The little things that price does sometimes, right? At certain times you might see volatility come into the market and see certain movements happening like just haphazardly, right, or just sporadically, and you want to know, well, what caused that? And it may cause you to second guess your strategy or whatever plan you implemented in your trading, but it's not that. It's just that at certain key times, certain things just happen without explanation. Really, sometimes it is something that happens, and as you trade, you get more accustomed to these certain movements, these little price action behaviors, and it would help you gauge whether, okay, should you enter the markets now or should you wait until after a certain time, etc., etc., right? Usually when we have something like NYC open, we have volatility into the market as well, and that does affect dollar momentum too. So it really is just over time you pick these things up. All right, so that's a little nugget of wisdom from me to you guys. Any of you that are struggling with your trading strategy, or it's just certain times you might be experiencing a loss while other people experiencing profits and whatnot. And it could be hard, especially when you're in a community and people are gaining or profiting and you're just accepting the L's as they come. It could cause you to second guess what you are doing, and you don't want to be in a position where you're second guessing your strategy, especially if it's something that you back tested and you improved and you have beforehand you had a lot of confidence in. Don't let these one or two market conditions that mess you up affect your belief in the strategy that you're implementing or that you took your time to grow and really fine tune. All right, so that's just me departing some wisdom to you guys. All right. In terms of trade setups that we could get right now, I think JPY, you could actually sell this at this point in time. Now, it has some key things that we need to pay attention to. Again, the key thing that I'm referring to is that dollar movement. You see here, we didn't really have much in terms of a dollar, but between the correlation of the CAD and the USD, that's why we see we're gauging some dollar movement from the actual CAD news itself. All right, the only thing that we had in terms of dollar move was just building permits, not really much here. And then afterwards, well, later today we do have API crude stock oil exchange, oil stock change, sorry. So this is something that would affect the Canadian dollar as it affects oil. So whatever move we do get on oil should be reflected on the Canadian dollar as well. So I'm expecting some CAD bearishness possibly. So JPY, taking a look here on the 30 minutes. Right, we have 16 minutes until this candle finishes form. Currently, you can see that we had this rejection here from this high. Right, candle currently pulling back, engulfing that bullish candle move to the upside. Now, this could be your possible impulse entry point to actually take a trade for price to continue moving down. If it's to continue on this bearish trend, then it should respect the high of this candle here, right? So no reason price should actually pull back above this zone, especially as we're pulling back down into the significant resistance / newly made support, right? So this could be a possible trade entry for you here. I'm looking for price to continue with its downward path, right? Obviously, this is the candle that we're currently watching, seeing a rejection on this 1 hour candle. So you can wait until the candle closes, right? If it does close near to the opening, sorry, then that means that, all right, bears are more in control of the market. If it actually flips and it turns red as it is right now, bears are in control of the market. We could possibly see a continuation to the downside, and this would be the profit target for me right here, the lows here. All right, so this here, good trade setup. This is a good trade setup right here, especially as we move over the momentum now after the major news that markets would have been paying attention to for the day, right? So yeah, this would be the trade setup. Play out to the downside here on the 4 hourly. Let's look coming to this candle close here, so that's good. We wait for the candle close, and we have more of a clear distinction as to where we could possibly see price moving into. Right, so yeah, dollar flipping. This is one other trade I do have set up to look in here. Right, and the 4 hourly candle coming to the close, right? So we might get price pushing up. Obviously, for this, I am expecting price to actually maintain just this level right here, this zone. So I don't want to see it passing this high here, right? If it does pass this high, then the next possible time I am looking to re-enter GBP CHF will be down here, right? And I actually do have a sell set up right here waiting to be triggered if you can see price pullback, right? But this is what I'm paying attention to right now. Just delete this. Yeah, and for the time being, that's it. All right, so the XY pushing up nicely. Let's take a look at that Euro USD pushing down nicely right now. Yeah. This AED card actually showing some like pullbacks right now, so that's interesting. We are seeing some divergence between the CAD and the US dollar. Is it? Yeah, we're seeing some divergence between the CAD and the USD. If anybody have any questions, feel free to ask, guys. If there's something that you're looking at in particularly, let me know. All right, so yeah, wow, this is pushing up. The GP is actually pushing a little bit more than I expected to, which is interesting. Pretty interesting that we're seeing an actual push on GBP right now. Not much movements for the gold market. No drawings here. USD CAD really pushed down from this level. This was a movement of how much? About 90 pips or so. Price pulling back right now. Take a look at the indices. All right, price pulling back a little bit here. Sorry, going down. Let me just remove this. I'm clearing up my charts a little bit too as well. All right. So this would be the GJ Trading. That's, yeah. Let's take a look at the forex live here. Let's see if we have any so we have some USD headlines. And this is something that I use as well, forex live a little bit. Just look at some of the headlines, you know, get a basic idea of what is going on in the markets right now, what may be causing some market movements. And if anything piques my interest, I'll click it and read it. Especially if we do have large US news, right? So like how we have the Fed conference, right? Press conference happening tomorrow at, this is what, 2:30 p.m. All right. So like if I'm not available to actually listen to the Fed conference or, you know, read up on it, then I'll just go to Forex Live. Usually these are analysts, very well known in their niche, right? So usually I'll just come up on here, I'll read the headlines, see whatever I miss, read some of the key points I've said, and, you know, see if that correlates onto the chart itself, and, you know, if we have any price action movement that we could use to our advantage with the fundamentals. So that is something that I do from time to time as well. I do think it does help. So far for my trading has helped. So to each their own, really, when it comes to trading. Remember, you see how we have 10 minutes for this candle. What I want to see is the DXY maintain that push above from this level here, and then we could start to continue to see price rise higher and push past this level. We also have the USD news coming tomorrow. So obviously what I'm looking at, or what I'm looking to see, is some rallying on price. And with tomorrow, the projections that we do have, it's positive. We can see that continuation movement to like this high right here. Alright, so this little zone that I marked out, the P zone, whenever this was, right? So price could actually see a movement to this high, and yeah, that would be good for our overall price action analysis thus far. As you can see, I'm cycling between these two, right? This is what I'm also paying attention to. If I do get stopped out here, then I'll be down for actually 2% for the day. It should be kind of depressing. Excuse me. But it is part of trading, right? So I don't know why the CHF is, well, honestly, I do know why. Kind of could be USD related. That is why we're seeing this kind of push to the upside. However, GPCHF itself should be moving down. Pound itself doesn't really have enough fundamentals for it to be bullish, only for this a day and for the week thus far. So surprising enough, we have this movement. I do think we have some pound interest rate news as well. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, that's the Thursday, right? So we have pound interest rate news as well. The Thursday, expect an increase. More than likely, right, we would see a negative move here for the GPCHF. And we also have the vote cut meeting, right? So the vote cut is what markets will also be paying attention to. The interesting stuff. I can see we have CHF interest rate, expect an increase, then pound. So overall, this should give a pretty bearish movement on GBCHF, something you could look forward to as well. Pretty interesting stuff, actually, if you ask me. I guess it depends on who you ask, right? It might be boring to some. The trading is often boring. If it's boring, if you're trading and it's boring for you, then you're doing something right. You don't want it to be overly exciting. Right, so at this point as well, I suggest to like actually you know, you could lessen your risk a little bit. Just because we have this pullback situation happening, price should continue downwards, but price action. Right, you'll see your price pulling back right now, and watch how that's reflected on the Euro USD side of things. Price pulling back. Alright, so this is a pretty nice pullback here on JPY. GPCHF, paying attention to good moves. You have 6 minutes until this candle closes, and that'll be the close for the forward candle as well. Alright, so this is it for today's stream. Those that joined, this would be like the trade set that you got into, and this is a possible trade here. Good day. Welcome. Right, so I think this should be a pretty good move here. Right, overall technicals looks great. Fundamentally, we have that US dollar strength coming back in. If we could actually see that DXY maintain that zone as a supportive level. Obviously, this is like the starting of the New York session, right? So we could see some fluctuations from now until probably 12. That's usually when the bulk of the volume happens and kind of dissipates. And then from that, it's just like a continuation of whatever movements was made beforehand. So we'll see. But yeah, this is it right now, guys. Right, and this is forwardly candle close too. So you see, I'm just cycling between these three pairs, right? It's like gonna be the basis of my profit is just these three pairs for the day, right? We are up for the week, but I don't know, I'm trying to lessen my trading frequency, so the amount of trades I would take for the week and stuff like that. Usually it used to be 5% for the week. Once we achieve that 5% target, it'll be done, because I mean that'll equate to around 20% a month, which is more than great. However, we've been experiencing a lot of winners thus far. Just last week we finished with 30%. Obviously I went high on some of the trade risk that I took, 2% max, right? But I did went higher the risk, so I did finish with 30% for the week. For some people, it's supposed to be around maybe 14 to 15% overall. But yeah, it was a pretty great week coming to the end, and during the course of the week itself was kind of crappy with the euro trades. But yeah, like I said, a 20% achievement for the month is more than great. A lot of people get too stuck on trying to earn a shit ton of returns, right, in like the least amount of time that they can. And it's like, I don't understand. It's a bad habit. I'm not saying that I'm not, one that's, completely voided of bad habits. I do have my bad habits as well. But at the same time, people get too engrossed in like trying to make X amount of profits in the least amount of time. And that's where you kind of mess yourself up, because you take larger risks, you throw risk management out the window. And when you do run into situations when you lose, especially if you're on a higher risk, right, you allow that to kind of play on your mentality, and then you take poor decisions, make bad decisions and stuff like that, which is something that happens a lot of times in trading, right? Especially for funded traders, the ones that are trying to stay in it for the long game. Even though they are aware of this, they usually fall into these bad habits because it's easy to do, right? It's easy to fall in these bad habits. Maintaining good habits such as 1% risk a day, taking one trade a day, these kind of things is like a lot harder to do than, all right, you lose a trade, you're going to jump back for 2% risk because it had to go down. You lose it, you're like, oh, I need to make back this money, I could buy groceries with that, do this, X of that, whatever. And you fall into these bad habits, especially if you're trading on a smaller capital. Then obviously your mindset will be a lot different from if you're trading a big capital, because if you lose 10,000 or you lose 5,000 today, you know that, okay, in one win, if you do win, then that's like, let's say you're using a 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 risk to reward, then you know that if you win, you're gonna make 15,000, which is a 10,000 profit, right? And that's a lot better than, let's say, if you're trading $100 account and you win 3%, when like, a $200 gain or something like that, right? It's not that much. So you fall in these bad habits trying to, make more money without having the capital to afford that type of mindset, and that's where you fuck yourself up. Pretty interesting psychology when it comes to trading and money psychology and stuff like that. The things that we do when we're not supposed to do it is usually when we do it. It's really interesting stuff, right? So just a little like tidbit from me to you guys. I kind of just stolen for time. Gotta get them views in at least 30 minutes on this stream. But yeah, it's just a little piece of wisdom from me to you guys, honestly. Like, it's really interesting how we kind of how we view money. We view money too objectively, with too much power, right? We put too much like essence to money itself. So like usually when we fall into like these situations where we lose money, especially when it comes to trading, and trading is a risk, that's like it's not for the weak. It's not for people who fixated on money or who have an overly attachment to money. All right. So yeah, I find it all interesting, to be honest with you guys. Fairly interesting. All right, so 50 seconds for the candle close here. I like how this candle is closing here on JPY. Overall, this rejection here should see a continuation to the downside. This is the 4-hourly candle close, so that's pretty great, especially that we close it into this rejection area. Then we should see sell pressures continue pushing price lower. That's sort of my take on that. To be more conservative, however, though, I would put my stops really above the current candle high. Just because if prices continue moving down, we shouldn't see price push above that area, right? We should see, all right, if it does stall within this zone here, overall, we should maintain respect to this high, and then price continues moving downward. So this is, yeah, we'll see how this candle forms and continues for the course of the day, maybe leading up into tomorrow, who knows, right? If we have the volume to see price continue moving down, or if not. Right, same thing here on GP, CHF, maintain respect to this level here, this overall general zone. So on the current candle formation here, I do want to see price continue moving down from that, and see it play back into this zone here. As soon as we do cut into this zone though, if price manages to cut into the zone, and then it wraps, it should continue all the way back down, because at that point, yeah, it is just like falling back into the overall daily average move, which is a continuation downtrend, right? We're kind of choppy, but overall, yeah, that should be the sort of movement we get from price here. So we'll see. We will have to see. And your USD, same thing. Respects to here, overall pushing to the downside. Euro is weaker, so we'll see whether it's able to maintain that move, continue moving down. The DXY recovering from this level, so obviously we want to see if price manages to come back into this zone and push higher. And we do have USD news tomorrow to actually be attention and wary of as well. So we'll see if that helps in play with price actually pushing higher, or if it's gonna be the downfall of the DXY, the US dollar strength, and see the bears actually step back in and say, nah, we're not gonna let you push the DXY. We're not gonna give you any dollar strength. We're gonna continue selling the USD, because we have a very strong dislike for the US economy strength. Right, so we'll see. And obviously we do have these other key factors that we could take a look at. The fundamentals, we're pretty sure what we want to see fundamentally wise. And technicals, we could use these technical aspects to actually give us a pretty good setup as to where we could actually see price move into, right? Trading is all about probability, and these are the high probability setups that we could potentially see, and yeah, gather some movement on price. You see how this is happening right now? That is what we want to avoid. But yeah, we'll see, right? We're now starting in just 3 minutes in onto this, so we'll see if price just gonna push up. Are we gonna come here, just maintain that price, pull back down, follow the candle? What you doing? Making me look bad. GBP, JPY seems a lot more common. Alright guys, so that's it right now actually. So yeah, we'll just pay attention as to what price is doing. I'll update you guys within who are in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord or in the Telegram, then feel free to use the link in the description. Alright, or any of the other videos that you would see. Use the link and get access to it. I do post my trade setups. I do talk a lot about trading and other stuff as well. And yeah, you could get to see some of the trade setups I do enter. Usually I do share my trades with the VIP group, all my trades I do enter and stuff and setups and whatnot, but I do throw 1 or 2 trades out to the free members, yeah, to the normal members and the free Telegram as well, right? So there's knowledge to gain in those if you do join. And yeah, that's about it. Just paying attention, watching price. Yeah, that's it. So thank you guys very much for joining. Really do appreciate your patronage. If you felt like you learned something here, you just like hanging out with me, then leave a like on the video. It really helps out the channel, as well as subscribe if you're not already subscribed. That way you'll be informed as to when I do post content, or I do do a little upload here and there. Yeah, and it really helps me out, helps keep me motivated to keep doing these things, right? So yeah, that's it for now. I'm gonna leave it as is right now. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you very much.